I can't stand listening to from London rap. Pop, chop, did it pop, pop, pop. When it come, when it cop, and it go, did it throw, and it hop, and it baby, did it up. That sounds ridiculous. There's nothing macho to me about, listen there, bloke. About give me more money. Oh, that boy blow side. Ole. Get out of here, man.
For decades now, there's been a long-running stigma against British rappers, especially in the States. The issue doesn't necessarily come from the nationality itself, because Americans have historically embraced anyone from the UK, just as long as they're fully, quote-unquote, Americanized. This is where the likes of the legendary Slick Rick, Moni Love, and MF Doom factor in, as well as new rappers like 21 Savage who, except from a few memes, has never really had his growth stunted by being British. But for British rappers whose culture hasn't been shaped by an American upbringing, it often feels like they're hitting an unfair ceiling when it comes to success in the US, and it's definitely not because they lack talent. In fact, today, there's just as many impressive MCs coming from Britain as there are in the US, if not more. So how did we get here? Well, to paint a full picture, we need to take it back to the 80s. Back in the day, the biggest ambassador of UK rap wasn't actually an MC himself. Instead, it was a DJ who had risen up through the ranks to become an unlikely and ill-fitting mainstream representative of the British scene. Debuting in the early 80s, Tim Westwood was one of the first to play hip-hop on sound systems and pirate radio. He'd then be given his own show on Kiss and Capital Radio before landing his primetime show on BBC Radio 1. This eventually led to CD compilations bearing his name while being distributed in major British supermarkets, and even hosting the regrettable UK version of Pimp My Ride. But thanks to his spot as the host of UK's top radio show, Tim Westwood became the go-to guy for any US rapper visiting the UK. Whether they were promoting new music or dropping a freestyle, Tim's show was the place to be. At times, this created gold, with rappers delivering some of their best 16s. But in the process, Westwood's presence also created plenty of cringe-inducing moments that, due to his international platform on YouTube, haven't really helped the cause. Despite sounding like he was from the British trenches, Westwood was actually straight out of Lowestoft and the son of Bill, the late Bishop of Peterborough. Basically, he couldn't have come from a posher neighborhood, but he clearly bought into the image that he was a real street sweeper. And at times, his behavior got really embarrassing, like when he had a very public meltdown after having his record stolen at a show. On live radio that was broadcasted across the nation, he proceeded to threaten the man who had stole his quote-unquote joints, as though this skinny white dude was intimidating.
Now, if you know this dude, this is your opportunity to help him out. Go cop those joints, phone the station, we'll tidy this up, and that's all it will be. Because we've got a fast car waiting upstairs now, because we are ready to drive back to Sheffield tonight to handle this. Because I want my joints back, baby. I'm going to be listening to 50 Cent all the way. By the time I get into that place, I'm going to be ready to ask for my joints back.
While it was hard to believe he was ever taken seriously, Westwood truly was an ambassador for UK rap for a long time. And for what it's worth, he seemed to genuinely love the culture. Still, his position didn't come without its hurdles. For a start, there was his pronounced quote-unquote black scent that's been critiqued over the years. And as the representative of hip-hop in the UK, him basically mimicking an entire culture didn't help matters.
You being very prominent in the UK scene and you present yourself in a certain type of way, you hear people criticizing the way you talk.
The way you talk, my brother, it's like, I live this, man.
Right.
This is me, man. This is what I do. I'm a friggin' hip-hop DJ. How am I meant to talk? How am I meant to rip down a club? Am I meant to sound like anything different? I can't apologize for being white. Can't.
It's hard to believe, but 2024 is already coming to an end. Feels like just yesterday, Ice Spice was dominating the charts. Like That was the talk of the internet, and Diddy was still known as Love. But as we're already gearing up for the holiday season, it might be the perfect time to step your cooking game up, and that's where our sponsors Cook Unity come in. Cook Unity is the first chef-to-consumer platform delivering freshly prepared, pre-selected meals straight to your door weekly. Their streamlined model not only makes your life easier by delivering restaurant-quality meals straight to your door, but if you're pressed for time, or even too busy to choose your meals, they've got you covered by selecting the dishes for you based on your taste preferences. Plus, there's no need for grocery shopping or extra cooking because the meals come fully cooked. All you have to do is heat them up. Best of all, the service is not going to break the bank, with some subscriptions starting as low as $11 per meal. Cook Unity chefs offer up a wide range of meals with over 7 dietary preference filters like vegan, paleo, and gluten-free options. I just received a new batch of meals this week and I already chefed up the delicious crispy chicken katsu by Akhtar Nawab, the telecherry pepper filet mignon by Art hearty Sampath that you can see smoking right there, and the low-carb beef stew by Ruben Garcia. Besides the delicious and incredible variety, one thing I really appreciate about Cook Unity are their ethos and sustainability practices. In some select cities, they have a reusable and returnable packaging program, and they even have climate-friendly, low-emission meal options for those who are especially concerned about their carbon footprint. So what are you waiting for? Go to cookunity.com/madness50 to get 50% off your first order, or use my code madness50 at checkout and try them for yourself. They're seriously checking off all the things on your to-do list for you. So click the link below and use my code madness50 to get 50% off your first order and cruise into the new year less stressed and eating good. There you go. Enjoy.
I can't apologize for being white. Can't.
However, these days, Tim is no longer a factor, and in 2022, he was accused of predatory behavior by 10 black women, with some insiders claiming this fate was overdue. Still, the fact remains that for many years, Tim Westwood was one of the first names that came to mind when less informed US rap fans thought about the UK scene. An over-the-top parody of British suburban kids who loved hip-hop, Ali G's comedic take on British rap reached a huge audience around the world, and over time, it even resulted in his own motion picture in 2003, just around the same time that legitimate MCs like Jest, Uzman, Kalashnikov, and others started to take off in the underground rap scene. It was always widely rumored that Westwood was the inspiration for this fictional character, with a piece from the Globe and Mail in 2002 detailing that the character was a white affluent Jewish kid imitating a lower middle-class white suburban kid imitating a black Caribbean immigrant kid. But rather than being done in an uncalculated way, the comedian who played Ali G, Sacha Baron Cohen, explained that his satire of the character was supposed to be well-meaning. After all, before he was a comedian, he was just a left-wing public school boy whose college thesis, The Black-Jewish Alliance, A Case of Mistaken Identity, argued that the black and Jewish communities should culturally band together. Still, just like Tim Westwood, Ali G cast a large shadow over UK hip-hop. Now, if these were just isolated incidents, the UK rap scene might have had a chance to move past the lingering effects of being mocked. But even today, UK rap is still heavily clowned, and to make matters worse, this mockery often goes viral. For example, take a look at comedian Michael Dappa's career, most notably Big Shaq, one of an array of characters that he became known for. Dappa took off with the reveal of Man's Not Hot, a parody of roadman culture that garnered over 400 million views on YouTube alone. To put it into perspective, that's more views than any other UK rap song has ever received on YouTube. The problem, though, was that people weren't sure if it was meant to be taken seriously or if it was a joke. In fact, many even hoped it was legit.
His name is Big Shaq, and I'm upset because I thought Big Shaq was an actual rapper. I thought that song, rapper. Man's Not Hot, I thought he was dead serious when he was in there with Charlie Sloth. Come to find out you're a comedian.
In itself, there's nothing innately wrong with what Dappa was doing, but it was how it was received by the rest of the world that was the issue, as it further marginalized UK rap, and, frustratingly, allowed for more parody rappers to reach similar heights. Today, Unknown P is pulling in more listeners than many actual artists. Appearing on platforms like Daily Duppy and Fire in the Booth, he's blurring the line between comedy and real rap. And like with Big Shaq, some listeners might not realize that the man behind the character, Munya Chihuahua, is actually doing satire. Once again, the UK rap media has been complicit in pushing this comedic character over real artists, leading to anyone who is just getting into the scene to potentially mistake this as real.
You say you're the first UK posh drill rapper. What ends do you actually claim though?
So I am from the clarting capital of the country, Surrey. I don't know if you ever heard my Fire in the Booth. There's a line in there, I'm from Surrey, where me and the man dem always go hunting and the gal dem are thick, like Theresa Mail on Real Big Bunting.
Then there's Drake, who unfortunately has regularly fallen into the habit of using the UK as his personal playground, even cringely adopting the accent on tracks like Only You with Heady One. And although his attempts to showcase UK rap on 2017's More Life seemed to come from a genuine appreciation of the culture, it didn't really resonate with US listeners, with many labeling the project as his worst. So what exactly is the state of UK rap in 2024? Well, unfortunately, it continues to be people who aren't true representatives of the rich culture that bubble to the top. For example, the fact that a YouTuber like KSI is one of the few UK rappers to ever chart on the US Billboard doesn't exactly help. Over the course of his music career, he's featured with Rick Ross, Lil Baby, Polo G, and others. And by 2021, he even teamed up with Lil Wayne for Lose, landing him his first Billboard chart position at number 86. Now, that might not seem impressive, but it's a lot more than many high-caliber British MCs have managed to muster up, even with the help of major labels. If a genuine MC could have amassed that sort of who's who of collaborators, it might propel them into a whole new lane. But instead, it was a rapper who just saw music as a side hustle and couldn't shake the YouTube rapper tagline. Now, after a prolonged spell of pursuing other things, KSI is regrettably back to rhyming, and it seems the internet has finally had enough. Given all the hate KSI is getting right now, it's pretty clear how he contributed to setting back the perception of the UK rap scene in the eyes of some Americans. However, even if KSI's music was good, there are still major obstacles to overcome, and this is where we need to touch on the British accent. For context, the UK isn't even unified when it comes to accents. Within Britain, certainly accents carry their own stigma, creating an ingrained social issue that still needs to be tackled today. Within the UK, there's a huge variety of linguistic nuances. For instance, the slang in Liverpool or Manchester is completely different from the lingo you'd hear in London. Plus, London itself is so culturally diverse that dialects and accents can vary a lot within London. So, it's no surprise that some UK artists found it easier to ditch their accents altogether, with hopes of being accepted in the US. British artists are thankfully far past the point where they're trying to emulate American accents. But the problem is that those on the other side of the Atlantic still can't deal with it.
There is something about UK rap for me that is like so jolty. It's like they haven't paved the roads.
I couldn't get
in
past
the studio.
accent. That's not how they talk, though. They use proper English.
Proper English is not how you speak to me.
You could put this down to just ignorance, but many Americans ultimately don't care to see the layers and just amalgamate it all under one umbrella of British.
Looks like we have another British person visiting America. These guys are so hard to understand.
Oi bruv, you're looking very dishy today.
Thanks.
You have some in the Caribbean Park. Need a key to the loo.
What the is he even trying to say? That's pretty cool.
In reality, there are so many shades of gray, with rap scenes popping up everywhere from Glasgow to Birmingham. The talent is there, and riches are being found on a local and national level. But it's that transition over to America that continues to be a lingering problem, as even some of the best and brightest have had major issues trying to crack this notoriously closed-off market. Among the most iconic names that the UK ever spawned, Dizzy Rascal became a legend almost immediately with the release of his seminal debut album, The Boy in the Corner, a platinum-selling project that even landed him on the Billboard charts at number 44. With that, he began collaborating with Americans, even signing to LP's Def Jux label. But while he remains a legend in Britain to this day, that early buzz didn't translate to anything. And while he became a major influence for stateside rappers like Danny Brown, the momentum in the US came to a standstill. Annoyingly, this would become a recurring trend for UK artists, with early buzz in the US never translating to a long-lasting career. Tiny Tempo was momentarily a huge star, even getting a chance to work with people like Kelly Rowland and Snoop Dogg. However, his quick fade into obscurity after Written in the Stars peaked at number 12 on the Hot 100 didn't do much to convince US consumers, or labels, that British MCs are worth investing in for the long haul. Then there's Kano, a veritable legend in the UK who even got a Hove cosign. But unfortunately, he released the worst music of his career while trying to break America, leading to him sounding like a half-baked parody of an 808s and Heartbreak era Kanye West on Rock and Roll. No further progress was made, and he's more likely to be recognizable to Americans as Sonny from Top Boy. Then there's Chipmunk. After 2009's I Am Chipmunk made him a star in the UK, he continued on his grind to the point that T.I. signed him to his Grand Hustle imprint. In 2012, he looked to launch into the stratosphere with the mixtape London Boy. But despite T.I.'s attempts, London Boy didn't even chart on the UK Top 100, let alone the US one. Since then, he was dropped by T.I. and has been independent ever since. Another artist who made a concerted effort was Stormzy, a London-based MC who's never had an album that didn't go number 1 in the UK. As well as 3 other number 1 singles as a lead artist, he's a certified legend in his own backyard, but yet again has failed to make a dent in the US. Skepta is another talented UK MC who failed to translate the cosign of certain US rappers to something further. After fostering ties to ASAP Mob, as well as deep connections to Drake, which led to Drizzy getting a BBK tattoo, tracks like Praise the Lord with Flacco helped to give him a real boost in stature, and landed at number 45 on the Billboard charts. But there was still clearly a ceiling. An album like Konnichiwa, which is certified gold in the UK, peaked at just 160 in the US. Gold in the UK overlooked once more. We could probably go on for days listing British rappers who haven't made much of an impact. However, there is one UK rapper who's actually starting to change things in the US. The catch? He might not be the best representative of the UK rap scene. Emerging out of the pandemic, Central C became a superstar in a mere matter of months. A self-described student of the game, Cench has been determined to break boundaries that have otherwise been stumbling blocks for other UK rappers, and sure enough, he did it. Through the runaway success of tracks like Doja and Obsessed With You, he became the first UK-based MC to obtain over 1 billion Spotify plays in a single year. And for him, it comes down to how he utilized social media to his advantage. Since then, he's gone from strength to strength, breaking into the Billboard charts with features alongside J. Cole, Drake, BTS's Jungkook, and others before managing to revive Lil Baby's career with Band for Band and its subsequent virality on TikTok. And rather than being an accident, this was all very intentional from Cinch, who set his mind to seizing control of America like no UK rapper before.
Is this the first time that a UK rapper could arguably be in the top 5 of rap? I think Central C might be knocking on that door. Top 5 relevant right now.
However, it's fair to say that while this is an immense achievement, he's certainly not going at it alone. Recently, he inked a $25 million deal, which is exclusively for distribution of his music in the US. And in case you're not up on record contracts, this is borderline unprecedented for any artist. What's become very clear is that Central C is a shrewd businessman, with the success and bargaining power coming his way because he mastered the algorithm like few before. But there are plenty reasons why he might not be the best ambassador for the culture. For one, as he chases fame and fortune, his focus on the marketing side of the industry has led him to sacrifice some of his integrity for tabloid drama and PR stunts, like his fake relationship with Ice Spice to promote a rather mid song. By contrast, a rapper that Central C has collaborated with recently on Split Decision may be the perfect artist to take the flag for the UK and run with it. In recent years, Dave has been gaining praise from all corners for his incredible wordplay and charismatic delivery. With albums like Psychodrama and We're All Alone in This Together, he's pushed the narrative forward, blending street-oriented tracks with deeper compositions that really get to the heart of what it means to be black in the UK. While it's clear he's a potential superstar, he's not alone. Right now, the UK is seeing a surge of talent at various stages of their journeys to success. However, there are reasons why some of this talent has been stifled, and it goes beyond just being seen as a joke or having an accent. In recent years, the country's blossoming drill scene has been strictly policed and censored to the extent that it may remain localized forever. Led by Operation Trident, an initiative by the Metropolitan Police that was intended to tackle black-on-black crime, the law enforcement in London has done the most to suppress the spread of drill music, which it deemed to be a danger to the community. It even extended to censoring what words could be used. While certain former prisoners weren't allowed to release music without consent directly from the police, the ongoing quest led London's Metropolitan Police to create Form 696. In essence, the scheme forced venues to submit this form to the police before an event, which asked not only the genre of music that be performed, but the target audience. As a result, many shows from drill and grime artists were canceled by the police on a discriminatory and often racially biased basis. To make matters worse, YouTube removed 319 drill music videos at the request of the London Metropolitan Police. And because of these restrictive orders, there are many acts who looked prime for a real breakthrough who then had all that momentum squashed.
Were you guys getting shows shut down?
Yeah, the whole tour shut down.
So you guys sell out this tour. How long after the sellout did you find out that there's problems?
We found out on just the week before it started. Yeah, just the week before it started.
After the Metropolitan Police finally scrapped Form 696 due to major backlash, the momentum of countless artists never really recovered, leaving many talented rappers to instead fall back into the life of crime that the Met were allegedly trying to prevent. Here, we see a clear suppression of free speech under the guise of police work, and if the same thing were to have happened to America's drill scene, there may be countless prominent artists who we wouldn't see today. So what's the solution? Well, ultimately, the US isn't everything, because much like famous bands from Britain who never broke America, there are plenty of spitters from the UK who are routinely racking up #1 albums in their home nation and other European territories. Ultimately, the US has a superiority complex when it comes to hip-hop, and while Central C's recent invasion of the charts is encouraging, it's not likely going to be a sign of things to come, no matter how hard UK rappers are spitting on a routine basis. That said, there are audiences for people like Little Sims, Nux, Lord Apex, and others in the States. They just won't necessarily be chart toppers, and considering where we were years ago, that's progress in itself. Instead, it serves as a niche market. Beyond that, UK rap is now an entrenched part of culture itself, with hip-hop making up 12.4% of the UK albums market in 2022. So whether the US likes it or not, British rappers aren't going anywhere, and from time to time, they might even break through to the elusive other side of the Atlantic. But what is becoming clear is that if their sole focus is on doing that, then they're ultimately selling themselves short. As the legendary Wiley says, the key is to appeal to those who support them, rather than search for acceptance.
This is what I'm trying to say, like, we search for acceptance, we search for blah, blah, we search for... Listen, instead of us worrying like, oh my God, America hear us, the people who can hear you, feed them, speak to them. And if anyone comes in and says, oh, I really like that, then it's a bonus.